The fifth planet was very strange. It was the smallest of all. There was just enough room for a street lamp and a lamplighter. The little prince couldn't quite understand what use a street lamp and a lamplighter could be up there in the sky on a planet without any people and not a single house. However, he said to himself, it's quite possible that his man is absurd. But he's less absurd than the king, the very vain man, the businessman, and the drunkard. At least his work has some meaning. When he lights his lamp, it's as if he's bringing one more star to life or one more flower. When he puts out his lamp, that sends the flower or the star to sleep, which is a fine occupation, he thought, and therefore truly useful, he finished thinking. When the little prince reached this planet, he greeted the lamplighter respectfully. Good morning. Why have you just put out your lamp? Orders, replied the lamplighter. Good morning, he said back to the little prince. What orders are those? Asked the little prince. And there's the worker doing his job dutifully and peacefully and contently. It seemed. And so he answered him to put out my street lamp. Good evening. And he lit his lamp again. But why have you just lit your lamp again? Orders. I don't understand, said the little prince. There's nothing to understand, said the lamplighter. Orders are orders. Good morning. And he put out his lamp. Continued on and on. Then he wiped his forehead with a red checked handkerchief. It's a terrible job I have, he went on. It used to be reasonable enough. I put the lamp out mornings and lit it after dark. I had the rest of the day for my own affairs and the rest of the night for sleeping. And since then, orders have changed? Asked the little prince. Orders haven't changed, the lamplighter said. That's just the trouble. Year by year, the planet is turning faster and faster, and orders haven't changed. Which means, asked the little prince, which means that now the planet revolves once a minute. I don't have an instant's rest. I light my lamp and turn it out once every minute. That's funny. Your days here are 1 minute long, realized and exclaimed the little prince. It's not funny at all, the lamplighter said. You and I have already been talking to each other for a month. A month? Yes, 30 minutes. 30 days. Good evening. And he lit his lamp again. The little prince watched him, growing fonder and fonder of this lamplighter who was so faithful to orders. He remembered certain sunsets that he himself used to follow it other days. Merely by shifting his chair, he wanted to help his friend. You know, I can show you a way to take a rest whenever you want to, he thought, thinking that he might help his friend. I always want to rest, the lamplighter said, for it is possible to be faithful and lazy at the same time. The little prince continued, your planet is so small that you can walk around it in 3 strides, remembering his little planet. All you have to do is walk more slowly, and then you'll always be in the sun. When you want to take a rest, just walk, and the day will last as long as you want it to. What good does that do me? The lamplighter said, when the one thing in life I want to do is sleep. Then you're out of luck, said the little prince. I am, said the lamplighter. Good morning, and he put out his lamp. Now that man, the little prince said to himself as he continued on his journey, that man would be despised by all the others, by the king, by the very vain man, by the drunkard, and by the businessman. Yes, he's the only one who doesn't strike me as ridiculous. Perhaps it's because he's thinking of something besides himself. He heaved a sigh of regret and said to himself again, that man is the only one I might have made my friend. But his planet is really too small. There's not room for two. What the little prince dared not admit was that he most regretted leaving that planet, because it was blessed with 1,440 sunsets every 24 hours. The sixth planet was 10 times bigger than the last. It was inhabited by an old gentleman who wrote enormous books. Ah, here comes an explorer, he exclaimed when he caught sight of the little prince, who was feeling a little winded and sat down on the desk. He had already traveled so much and so far. Where do you come from? The old gentleman asked him. What's that big book? Asked the little prince. What do you do with it? I'm a geographer, the old gentleman answered. And what's a geographer? A scholar who knows where the seas are, and the rivers, the cities, the mountains, and the deserts. That is very interesting, the little prince said. Here at last is someone who has a real profession. And he gazed around him at the geographer's planet. He had never seen a planet so majestic. Your planet is very beautiful, he said. Does it have any oceans? I couldn't say, said the geographer. Oh, the little prince was disappointed. And mountains? I couldn't say, said the geographer. And cities and rivers and deserts?